So if we're not going to have the revolution and overthrow the government, can we please proceed to the apocalypse where everybody dies? Because I don't want to be here anymore. I'm making $600 every 2 weeks.
Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to do a pretty entertaining article titled, Feminists Have Discovered Nose Ring Theory and They're Not Happy. And a shout out to Carrie for sending this article. And guys, this article, which you guys will definitely find entertaining as well as something special I have planned for you, is all about, just like it says, the nose ring theory. Turns out, no surprise, there's a lot of common denominators that pick out a crazy feminist in the crowds. The blue hair, the green hair, the tattoos everywhere, on their neck and their arms, but especially the nose rings, the septum nose ring. And pretty much a thing has gone viral about the nose ring theory or septum ring theory, that you can pretty much pick out these gals like that in a crowd. And to no surprise, they're not too happy about that. In fact, they're so unhappy about that, many of them are sounding off on Instagram and TikTok, hating on guys for, judging them for their nose rings and all that. It's pretty darn funny. Also, this article is obviously going to go into, about why the feminists are a problem, the mess they've caused. It's not about equality anymore. It's about control. It's about chaos, all that type of thing. So that'll be a funny one to go over here. And that video you saw in the beginning is just the beginning. She's not sounding off about being excluded because of the nose ring, but it's showing you a common thing, the nose ring equal kind of crazy. So it starts off, says here, in the swiftly degenerating world of Western relationships, one factor above all can be identified as the culprit: feminism. The driving force behind third-wave feminism is not the pursuit of equal rights. Women have already gotten that. It's the pursuit of power. Like any communist movement, unilateral power over society is the end goal. Well, that's what it is. They've gotten their equality a long time ago. I mean, look at the mess it's caused on so many fronts. The very few parts of the world you have not had infected by modern feminism. When power is the goal, such movements naturally attract narcissistic people and inspire narcissistic behaviors. How can the nuclear family function when the female half of the equation, which is supposed to act as a nurturing balance, is conditioned to become self-serving, egomaniacal, conflict-oriented, status-obsessed, victim-obsessed, and desperate for control? Well, that pretty much sums up many of these gals nowadays. But yeah, and the part about narcissism, absolutely. And you're going to see this. I mean, how many times have you guys seen these videos when these types of all different ages are sounding off about this, sounding off about that, which you're going to see in some video clips going to show you? It's crazy. Today, 63% of men are single, with the majority not looking for a partner. By the year 2030, 45% of Western women between the ages of 25 and 45 will be single and childless, aka spinsters. It's a demographic disaster. It's the end of civilization as we know it, and that's exactly what the political left wants. Yeah, they want chaos. It's an absolute mess. Not to mention how I've talked about it over the years, guys, how you have young people being conditioning men to behave like women, and women to behave like men. You got masculine G.I. Joe women, and you got crybaby feminine guys out there. It's a disaster. Is it any wonder nobody's getting together anymore? And notice the countries with the worst problems with fertility and the population issues is the ones most infected by, wait for it, feminism. Feminism is the key to creating this crisis because it disrupts the basic biological and psychological imperatives of men and women. This is well documented. But beyond women using their prime years to pursue goals over marriage and family, there is a factor of emotional and mental incompatibility with the vast majority of men. Even if modern women decide they prefer to find a man in 2025, most men do not want them. Well, doing this almost 6 years and seeing what I've seen, experienced what I've experienced, yeah, and those numbers are rising. And can you blame guys? Not at all. One, the attitude that so many have out there, but also in terms of marriage, the courts are not on their side. Why would you sign up for a bad deal where you're going to get screwed? Right? And then back to the attitude that's out there. Not all gals are like this, but a heck of a lot are. This is why men are walking away. And then you add in these obvious feminist types, no thank you. Guys would rather be alone than deal with that. This has led to what are calling the female loneliness epidemic, a rise of women seeking relationships but unable to find men willing to reciprocate. Within feminist circles, the word on the street is that men are no longer approaching. I've done videos about this, about women being pissed off that guys aren't approaching them. Who can blame them, given what is out there? This is a trend that is visible in many European countries and Canada and Australia, where feminism has been allowed to spread beyond universities and into vital social structures. Men wait for women to approach, or they avoid women altogether. Well, that's what's going on here. The theories are numerous. Feminists claim men are losing their masculinity and are too frightened of strong, independent women. This is a bit of gaslighting and a bit of cope. At no point do modern women ever consider the possibility that they are the problem, nor do they ask or even ask men to explain the situation. Why? Because they don't want to hear the truth. Yeah, men aren't approaching women because of what we have out there. No guy wants to be with some pissed off, ball-busting, masculine-ass woman with tattoos and green hair and nose rings like that. One popular trend that has gone viral, has feminists and raised, is nose ring theory, also known as septum ring theory. So, I'm now going to show you guys a clip of a young gal who's sounding off about that very subject, and you're going to see in her rant a perfect example why guys are avoiding types like her. Watch this.
I'm going to hold your hand with an industrial paper towel when I tell you that your comments saying nose ring theory are literally doing the opposite of what you think they are. I want to look this way. I want you to be able to look at me and see that I am a safe space and that I don't tolerate fucking bullshit. I want you to look at me and know, fuck Donald Trump, fuck men, honestly, and fuck what's going on in the world right now. Fuck the genocide in Gaza, and fuck anybody who thinks any differently. Honestly, if I'm not for you, good.
Well, she's a regular ray of sunshine, isn't she? F-bombs, any excuse to sound off about Trump and Gaza or anything else that typically young people nowadays are doing, and just miserable. Gee, I wonder why guys aren't approaching and want to be around her, because notice it's not her fault, it's a guy's fault, because F men, she said, and all that. It says here, the trend is based on, I'll continue here, it says the trend is based on an observable stereotype. The idea that many crazed effinists on social media tend to have the exact same physical characteristics. It's the blue hair, the face, the neck, and full body tattoos. The high cut bangs, and of course, they almost always have to have the same septum rings in their noses. Men have noticed the similarities and are now avoiding any woman with these features. Well, look, I mean, it's pretty much, the odds are pretty much there that if you see a young gal, or any gal for that matter, with all those qualities, the hair, the tattoos, the septum ring, the odds are she's going to behave in a certain way. You saw it on the girl in the video I just showed. You saw it in the girl at the very beginning of the video before this whole thing started here. And now I'm going to show you another young gal who will back up this whole point here. Check this one out.
The male loneliness epidemic is not real. There's a male loser epidemic, but there's not a male loneliness epidemic. They are just so fucking miserable and draining to be around, and then they're like, why don't girls want to date us? It's because you fucking suck. No one wants to hang out with you.
No one wants to date you, honey. See what I'm talking about, guys? I mean, seriously. They complain, but we're the bad guys here. We're the losers. I mean, really? Look, have you looked in the mirror, sweetheart? Anyhow, it goes on, says, the theory is supported by the leftist habit of using symbolic identifiers, much like a cult would use to pick out other adherents in a crowd. When the pandemic mandates failed to garner enough public support in the U.S. and the mask requirements were abandoned, largely because masks were proven to be useless, the political left continued to wear them anyway. Why? Because the mask had become a symbolic of the cult, a uniform for the woke. The septum ring is a new COVID mask. It's a signal to other believers that they are on the same side. Then there's the psychological concerns. Women with inordinate body modifications, including ample piercings and tattoos, are seen by men as self-obsessed, impulsive, and mentally incapable of settling for normality. Nihilism is common, not to mention depression, manic unpredictability, and lack of emotional intelligence. In other words, they might be unhinged. This does not stop some men from looking for a good time, but it does stop them from seeking a long-term relationship. Notice the 3 gals I've covered here at the beginning of the video and these last 2 here. Yeah, unhinged. Who wants to be with that? And notice the pattern here in terms of the hair, the look, the rings, and all that. I mean, seriously. Now, I'm going to show you the final one I'm going to do for this video here. This is longer, so I'm going to have to kind of break this up because of YouTube's copyright stuff. But this woman is, unlike the other gal, she's older. She looks like she's at least mid-40s, maybe 50s. And while she's not going to go off about the nose ring stuff, just listen to her sound off, and you're going to be like, what are you talking about? But you're going to see the common thing here about the freaking nose. Watch this one.
Hey, Americans, we all need to collectively crash out and break down right now. Let's just face the fucking truth. This is really fucking shitty, and this is really fucking hard, okay? It sucks, and it's really unfair that we live in this capitalistic society that is just oppressing the fuck out of every single American right now, okay? That is fact. That is what this is, okay? The only way to move forward from this is accepting that we are all suffering.
She's talking about suffering. The suffering going on is people having to listen to her psychotic rant here.
You and you and you, okay? Break the fuck down already. Get the cry out. Collapse. Make it as dramatic as you need it to be without harming others. Because once you do that, you can process and then you can heal and then we can move forward. So much of this is out of our control, but so much of it can be in our control if we can control ourselves, which is having a breakdown. Collapsing. We don't all need to go be hospitalized. Don't do what I did and wait too long until it's too much. Your body really does keep score. Have the fucking breakdown. Fucking cry it out. Get with your friends, be in your comfy pajamas, bring your blankets, get the box of tissues out, men, women, non-binary folks, sit the fuck down and fucking break down. Together, alone, however you need to do it. But we need to fucking do it, okay? It's necessary for all of our health and well-being because we're getting put through the fucking ringer and it's out of our control. Let's control what we can and have a good breakdown. Have a great weekend.
Well, all of us are now a little dumber for listening to that, but I had to make my point. Again, she wasn't going off about the rings, but what the hell was she talking about there? But again, the common denominator, the freaking septum. Make my point. Anyhow, continues, feminists seem to have recently discovered the nose ring theory, and they are not happy. Well, when are they ever happy? Have you ever met a happy feminist? They admit that the theory is somewhat accurate, but they also argue that men are not being honest about why they're avoiding feminists. Some things are just self-evident, and that definitely is why men are avoiding the feminists. They say that men are scared away by the septum ring, feminism, because it represents freedom and a woman who will not be controlled. No, because it's just nasty looking and it makes us think of cows. In reality, it simply indicates a woman who has succumbed to woke ideology, a form of insanity that very few men are interested in dealing with. And these women, they then wonder why they are living alone with their cats. I mean, hey, as an animal lover and a cat lover, at least the cats get a home as opposed to being out in the street or in an animal shelter. But then again, the beautiful cats have a crazy mama. We can go round and round there. Men aren't approaching those types because who wants to be around someone like that? Be a living hell. In the past, leftist women were more difficult to identify and avoid. So many men have been caught in the trap, blinded by the promise of companionship, only to be held hostage by a succubus who cleaves their soul and destroys the one thing men value above anything else, peace. Well, even the more feminine, not feminist, feminine women ain't gonna bring a guy peace. I'm telling you now, you guys truly want peace and quiet, then be alone. Or as in be on your own. Be a permanent bachelor. And you can control what goes on in your house. End of story. Even the cool ones are going to bring drama. Well, thankfully, the political left's prosperity for rabid self-identification has saved a lot of men a lot of grief. When feminists are easy to spot from a mile away, the conflicts associated with broken families are easier to diffuse. Years of horror can be prevented. If men can't have normal and healthy relationships anymore, then there's no reason for them to chase modern women. Feminists have helped men to avoid life-wasting affairs simply by wearing an ugly piece of jewelry in their faces. Anyhow, not a long video, but I thought it'd be an entertaining article there. But yeah, I mean, here's the thing. There definitely was a time, these things tend to have evolved, you know? I mean, I remember like in high school and college, there were some girls that had the colored hair and stuff like that. Later on, you found out that they, bet for the other team, the softball team. And there were other clues as time went on, but they're just piling up. But now, really in the last several years, it is definitely the septum ring, and it's hideous, And at the end of the day, if somebody wants to have their appearance a certain way, okay, knock yourself out. I mean, it is their freedom to do so. Who might stand in their way? But don't be pissed off with guys with a shred of intelligence. Notice there's a common denominator with that marking and the behavior that's associated with that. So now what's going to happen is now they're going to take them off as a way to infiltrate, fool the guys, now knowing there's nose ring theory and stuff like that, and then they'll suck their claws into somebody, and there you go. And then probably sooner or later, there'll be another way to identify them. But there you go, guys. And like you saw in the 4 videos I showed, the common denominator, the freaking nose ring, and it just cracks me up. And again, we're the bad guys because we don't be involved with those types. And even if they had sweet personalities, which they don't, who wants to be with a gal who looks like a clown? But, at the end of the day, we're always the bad guys here. So, guys, that'll be a pretty funny one to go over here. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.